Hello, I'd like to take a chance to do a quick video for you that will explain to you the replacement module that will be coming in for your expense requisition. Current process that, on your old process, you had a document that looked like this that had a requirement to enter in line items for each of your expense items and attach receipts for every one of those items that had a receipt with the exception of mileage. So with this type of expense requisition, we have replaced that with a newer system that will be coming into place very soon, and we'll be using a front end of a web page. So this video is intended to be a high-level introduction to that system. There will be another video in the upcoming weeks that will be approximately twice as long. We'll kind of go in more detail as to the requirements and some of the options and whatnot. So at that point, we will be sending further instructions along with maybe an additional website that will be for mobile users. So at this current time, I'd refrain from holding back on typing down or writing down the address for this website, as that may change. And again, that will definitely be different for a mobile user. So with that, I'd like to introduce this to you. The system's called RecLogic, and it will essentially require a login, which will consist of a user ID and a password. The password will not be assigned. What will happen is the first time you enter into the system, you will be required to create one. And after that is created, every time you enter into the system after that, that password will be required for entry. So for instance here, where Katie Kappa is trying to enter or log into the system, if she doesn't put in her password, you're going to get a warning message looking something like that. So Katie here will key in her password and type in login. And this is going to be her main homepage that she'll be able to kind of submit the expenses for. This will be here. This is actually an expense requisition that I'd entered for May, and it's kind of seen its life cycle and been submitted and approved. And we'll get back to that in a minute, but let's submit June's expenses. So if we go underneath transaction expenses, that pulls up the expense requisition. And if we hit new, we just type in a description for the expense sheet. So notice that there's some filtered fields that kind of pop out here that are not required to be kind of filled out, but default off the user. So in this case, Katie's part of the publications committee. So what is going on behind the scenes is that there's a series of filters being applied to the chart of accounts, and that will give her access to certain accounts and restrict her from others. So depending on your department, you will see some and not others, and same with other users. So now we're going to get into the actual lines of the expense sheet. So kind of referring back to your old the expense requisition form. So we're getting now into the line items here. So again, if you had 4 items here on your old method of submitting it, and one of these was for mileage, and 3 of them were for actual different types of expenses that required a receipt, the same rules is going to apply to this system. So if we had 4 line items and 1 was mileage, then I would expect to see 3 that have receipts. In my example here that we're going to be showing you in the upcoming moments. I'll be only submitting 2. So just to note that I'll be submitting one with mileage and one that's not mileage. So if I click on new line, on the item ID, I hit that little magnifying lens and that pulls up my item list. So we have a couple options for filters. So you can select on description, select on item ID. We can go through the multiple pages of accounts that you have. And you could also do a search criteria where you could do something like the description contains something like, I'll just say travel. So I selected one, and what we do here is we basically put in the quantity. So I'll just say we'll put in 50 miles, noting that the mileage reimbursement's at 40 cents. And I need to give it a transaction date, and I'll just say that was for travel on June 1st. I'm going to save this item. And now maybe I see that I noticed that it was for 50 miles and it should have been for 65. So if you want to do an edit, you just click onto this line item here. Highlight the quantity, change it, save it, and now it's updated the quantity. You do also have the option of deleting it here as well if you hit the red X, and checking out the details if you wanted to. So now I'm going to go ahead and key in a new line. In this case, I'm just going to select from my line items here. And I'm just going to select on the RDA meeting. I'm going to put a quantity of 1. And I'm going to put in a price of $30.70. Again, kind of just looking at the link here below, I noticed that we need to have a attachment. So if I hit upload, I hit browse, and I'm just going to scroll out to my desktop here. And here's a folder I created on my desktop called My Expense Receipts. Here's a folder that I have out there for my expenses for today. Here's all the receipts that I have. I'm in this case just going to use this image 1. And this is going to be, for the RDA meeting. And I'll hit upload. And you'll notice that now if I come back into the line item, or just on this, you get the visual here, you'll see that I actually have attached a receipt here. That looks something like that. So you can actually attach any type of document out here. The ones that I'd say are kind of these are ones to work with, or JPEG images, or PDFs, Adobe PDF documents, Excel, those types of documents will all work. Text. So we'll have a list of approved attachment types that we will be sending out along with some point of contacts and websites and things like that when we introduce the longer video. So incidentally, this was actually shot using an iPhone, and was shot also using a light with that's kind of a white light with not a flash. So I've gotten pretty good results. I've used this personally submitting my own expense sheets and found I got pretty good results. And Works out pretty well if you don't have a scanner. So just one more device that you don't have to have with you. So, so once that is done, what you would do is you would hit submit. It's going to ask you, are you sure you want to submit this? And you hit OK. And what's going to happen now is that it's going to give you kind of this message that your document's been successfully submitted. And I'm going to hit OK. And if I want to check back in on the status, I could come back into my submitted document and I could hit on my status here. And now I can see that it is waiting for Heather to approve it. So it's a two-step process that's going to be in this type of approval sequence. So it's going to go to Heather Root, and then it's going to go to Denise Brenner. And then at that point, it is in the accounting system waiting to be paid. So you can always check this. If you come back home, you can kind of see where we're at, excuse me. And you can kind of see that, this one's still routing. So I kind of know that, it still has to be approved. Whereas on this May expense, I can kind of tell that it's been processed. And what process means is that it's in the accounting system and it's waiting to be paid. So if I click on this icon right here, this will actually launch the one that I had submitted. And if you check on the status here, you will see that this is one that I had submitted before, and you can kind of see it's gone through its little life cycle here of being submitted and approved. And here's Katie submitting it. Here's Heather approving it. Here's Denise approving it. And at this point, when it has this type of number down here in the sequence, that means that it's been, it is now in the accounting system waiting to be approved, or waiting to be paid, excuse me. And that is the quick introduction. I also wanted to show one more little feature here, and this is underneath the reports and inquiries, and this is underneath your expense audit report. And in here, you can actually see all the expense reports that I have submitted. So you can see here's the one that we were just looking at that kind of been routed through. Here's one that I was tested, this 131. This is one that I tested and deleted. And here's the one we had I just walked you through. So in this case, if I take a look at this 129, which was your May expenses, you'll see that here's the line items that I'd put on it. It was for 55, again, it was for 55 miles of mileage. But one thing to note out here is that this is the current address on the on your actual record within the accounting system. So you can see Katie Kappa is at 123 Kappa Street in Kent, Ohio. And I have a little bit of cleanup to do on this report. I apologize, but I will get this cleaned up at the time of deployment. But she actually has two different phone numbers. One is the 330 Kappa and an explanation mark. And then she also has another number out there for a 444 Kappa explanation mark. These last numbers are the extension, which again, I'll get this cleaned up a little bit so that you guys can kind of see this. So one thing also additionally to note about this is the current address that you have in the accounting system. So say, for instance, you had a change of address in January of 2015, and it was for, I'll just say, 100 Kappa Street, and now you're at 123 Kappa Street. This report's only going to be reflective of what's currently in the system. So since you're currently at 123 Kappa Street, it's only going to show that one. So it's not going to show kind of a history of where you moved to and where you were, things like that. So again, so this is going to tend to be a high-level review. Look for another email that will be coming out in the upcoming week or two that will be in further detail. Thank you for your time.